Welcome to Break Free to Brilliance podcast, empowering women in business through thought provoking interviews and insights. Embrace your authentic power, explore the impact of your story, and discover how writing your best selling book can amplify your message, authority, and the three I's: impact, influence, and income. Let each episode guide you towards brilliance in minutes. This is your host, Seema Giri. Welcome back to another amazing episode of Break Free to Brilliance podcast. This is your friend and host, Seema. I know your time is really valuable, and I'm honored that you're choosing to spend with me each week. This space is where we have real, bold conversations about stepping into our power, owning our success, and breaking free from limitations, both seen and unseen. Today, I wanted to talk to you about not just about business, but about freedom. And it's about wealth, power, and the undeniable truth that when women control their finances, they control their future. So let me ask you, are you financially free or are you just getting by? Now, ordinarily, I would never talk about finances. Talking about this episode is really about me breaking free from my limitations. Before, I would not even touch on this topic, I would not bring it up. But as I'm taking more bold steps, as I'm taking more bold actions and taking more bold steps, I felt that this is something that I had to talk about, especially during Women's History Month, because every day you and I are making history. Especially if you have your own business, you are possibly rewriting history in for your family, for your generation, um, for generations within your family, and for the future. So this is one aspect when we're earning, whether we're working for someone else or running our own business, finances is one of the most key elements that we are so afraid to look at. We'd rather have someone else do it. We'd rather procrastinate on this, and I know I have done that quite a bit as well. So when we talk about empowerment and we talk about women empowerment, we can't talk about it without talking about financial empowerment. Even in this day and age of 2025, women are still facing massive challenges when it comes to money. I was doing some research on statistics for this episode. Women's economic participation could really add $12 trillion to the global GDP. Yet we are still earning less, we're still investing less, and we're often undervaluing our own worth, right? This was a report done by McKinsey. And historically, women have been excluded from the financial power. It wasn't until 1974 that women could get credit card in their own names, that they did not need a male co-signer. And that's less than 50 years ago, right? We weren't trusted to handle our own money. So let me ask you this question. If you woke up tomorrow with zero fear of failure and unlimited financial potential, what would you pursue? And why aren't you doing that now? What is holding you back? In my last episode, I shared that women-owned businesses, they generate only 4% of the total business revenue in the US, right? Women still earn 82 cents for every dollar a man makes. And for women of color, the number is even lower. And here's the scary part, that women retire with 30% less wealth than men, despite the fact that we live longer. And that is one of the reasons I really want to bring this episode to you, is because women live longer, so it's really important for you to understand your finances and make the financial decisions, learn how to take risk, and learn how to protect your money, because that's going to determine your quality of life. So let's look at, why does this happen? One is that we hesitate to charge what we are worth. We hesitate to ask for raises or the raise that we deserve. We do that, 4 times less than men do. And we're also less likely to negotiate our salaries. And that is costing us $1 million in lost lifetime earnings. That's a lot of money, $1 million. And we're all also conditioned to believe financial power is not for us or that we won't have the ability to do it. Now, I'm being vulnerable here and sharing that I have a finance degree. And to a certain point, I did really well. I saved, I invested. But when we had a major setback in life, that all that money was utilized, which was a good thing. That was our backup. But after that, there were so many changes. There's so many things happening in life that I did not get back on track. Something held me back. We had, certain failures that really shifted my mindset in such a way that I became so afraid to take any action, to do anything, that for a while I did not do anything. And that is not good either. So here's something to think about. If you continue earning, saving, and investing the way you do now, where will you be financially in 10 years or 20 years? And is that going to be enough? I know looking at these numbers might be scary or even thinking about it, and you might want to just put it under the carpet and not look at it. But I highly encourage you to do this now, to do, take the time after you listen to this podcast and write those numbers down or start investigating, start looking into it. Even if it's scary, find a friend, find, or, I would be happy to help you walk through this. I'm not a financial expert, but I am an expert on mindset shifts. And that's the first step. One is awareness, and next is to have the mindset shift, and then finding the right financial expert to help you through this. I know I've been raised by immigrant parents where we had to work really hard. We earned a lot less on the dollar than anyone else, and we had to save, 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 save every single penny. And investing and taking risks was not even thought of. So I totally understand how that mindset has been passed on, not just through our mindset and the way we saw things and observed, but also through our DNA. So I totally understand that. But we can also break free from all of that by educating ourselves, experimenting with small amounts, and having conversations with other women who are in the field, who have invested, who have grown wealth, who have had the courage of negotiating salaries. These women are out there, and we need to be in that community. We need to have them in our community. We need to seek them out and see what they're doing and how they're doing it, because it is possible. So, and also from a very young age, we are taught to how to stretch the dollar, how to save. And boys are encouraged to take the financial risk, to invest, to start businesses, to go after money. And girls, not so much, right? They're just told to be how to be responsible with the money in terms of how to run the household, but not how to be powerful with it. I know within my household, my parents eventually they learned about investing and everything, but we did not talk about it. We did not talk about money much. We did not talk about what should be done, except, you get a job, you have security, you work hard, and you save. But how do you grow that money? How do you save that money? How do you invest that money? That was never talked about. Even when I got my finance degree, we were taught about the how-tos and what the process is, but not from what kind of a mindset you need to have, what kind of how does one group really earn their money and grow their money while others don't. That that has that mindset perspective involved as well. That is not taught, and that is the missing piece, that I feel that if we had that and we're taught that strategy, we're thought about how to think about these things, it would have made such a difference in my life, in many of the women's lives. And I'll be honest, I used to play small with money too. I remember I was looking for a job and I got a job offer from a recruiting company. I was their accountant and I was so excited to get that job, and I was looking for a couple of months. And when they offered me the job, they offered me a certain package, and I was looking for at least $5,000 more than that. So I had the courage enough to ask. It was another woman that hired me, and it was an all women company. This is what I did. I had the courage to ask for a higher salary, right? And she said, Seema, I'll have to get back to you. This is what we were thinking, but I'll have to get back to you. Let me talk to the owner of the company. And at that moment, I got scared and I said, you know what? I'll accept the offer that you had, because I was afraid that they would come back and say, sorry, we can't do it. We are not going to offer you the position. And I went in with the salary that they had offered. So that fear set in, the fear of loss set in. I undervalued my service and my knowledge at that point, even when I started my business. I have personally felt the more confidence that I had in myself, the more confidence I had in the value that I bring, then the more I was able to charge. And when I charged based, when I really knew and 100% believed the value I brought, no one even batted an eye on the price. It was with the energy and the belief that I had brought in and that I talk about with. And I've also avoided conversations about wealth because I didn't want to, I don't know, was it, if it was, I didn't want to seem too ambitious, or I didn't want to feel greedy, really, that here I am. There's so many people in the world that don't have what I have. And should I even want or expect more? But I've learned that, the more you have, the more good you can do in the world. And we all have, there's no set points. And there's no that if I have a lot of wealth, that I'm taking it away from anyone else. There is so much abundance out there. It is yours for taking. And I also feel if we don't step up and take what we deserve and what is there for us, and what are we really doing? How are we really helping others? Because when we step into that power, forget about getting the actual money. It's going to be wonderful, right? But when you step into that power, that can really take you someplace else. That can really take you to the next level and the people that you're meant to support. So if you're thinking the way I had thought about wealth and about money, then think about this, that it is your responsibility to step into your power, go to that next level so that you can help your people even more, the people that you're meant to support through your business. When I get stuck in any of these areas and I go back to my previous way of thinking, because we do go backwards sometimes, right? I think about this. It is your responsibility to be financially well. It is your responsibility to do all that you can to increase your wealth, because only then can you take others to their next level. So let that sink in for a second. So I want you to think about your childhood. What was that first message you received about money? Who taught you that? And is it serving you today or holding you back? And it is okay for you to let go of some of those beliefs, especially if some really close person has taught you those things. You can add your own new beliefs and methods and processes based on your life experience as well. I know sometimes I think that, there's new ways of doing things, but this voice would come in, but mom has always done it this way. And mom has taught us this for this reason. We can always add on to those learnings and take it to the next step. By now, if you're in my generation, You have earned a lot of wisdom yourself. You can combine those two and make it even more powerful. It is okay to do that. Now, let's talk about how you can take control of your financial future. We've talked about the problems. Now, let's talk about solutions. Here's how you can shift from survival mode to wealth building mode. Own your success. Stop downplaying your wins. If you're making money, say it with pride. And if you're building a thriving business, then claim it. I have claimed it myself too. Raise your prices. Inflation is building. Inflation is increasing. There's a lot of expenses. So raise your prices. If you're running a business, charge your worth. Stop undervaluing yourself and your expertise. My daughter has recently realized this. She is going to college and she's also has her own clothing brand called Don't Die Clothing. It's for mental health awareness that she does this. So she has these t-shirts and sweatshirts. She designs them herself. She used to give a lot of discounts before. Slowly she's realizing, that her product and the quality and the message and what it stands for is worth a lot more. So she has stopped giving discounts. She has some early bird releases and stuff. And the minute she stopped giving discounts, she said when she's very transparent with her community, and she let everybody know that she's not going to be giving discounts anymore. This is a price. I've priced it fairly, and this is what it's meant for. This is, the mission of the brand and her company. Her sales increased. People bought more from her last drop than she had ever before, and she sold out within, I think, a week and a half, compared to a couple of months from her previous drops. So that's what happens when you start owning your worth. People see you differently, they feel your energy differently, and they come to you. You want to invest in your future. Women tend to save more but invest less. So let's make your money work for you even while you're sleeping. And that is through investments. That means, you're not missing out on your compounded wealth growth. So if you have time on your side, you want to take advantage of those compounding interest rates, right? So start educating yourself on investments and passive income streams. There's so much out there now. And you want to think of money as a tool for power and freedom. Money is not just about luxury, it's about choices. When you control your wealth, you decide where you live, how you work, and how you give back. So, if making money was a moral obligation, if your wealth determined the number of people you could help, how would you approach your business differently? Something to think about, right? How would you approach your business differently if making money was a moral obligation? So, in my last episode, I talked about how women have redefined financial success, and I gave examples like Madam C.J. Walker, Rihanna. She went from music to billionaire entrepreneur with Fenty Beauty. Barbara Corcoran now also has turned $1,000 loan into a $5 billion real estate empire. So when I do research in the next 5 to 10 years, I really want to see your name come up where it says that you went from X amount to becoming a billionaire entrepreneur, or you have this one product or your services that has taken over the world and has saved so many lives, because you can do it. You have it in you. You have that ability. You have that wisdom. You have that ambition. You have that desire. And I see that in you. I see that for you. And there's so many women watching you, and there's so many women that are inspired by you, by every action that you take. So you are making history. in small ways and in big ways. And we're never going to know what kind of impact we are making on the lives of others. So continue doing what you're doing. Think about what is the biggest financial risk you have ever taken. And if you haven't taken one, is it because you're truly secure or are you playing small out of fear? Now, if you're an entrepreneur, I believe there's nothing more scary than starting your own business. I always say that if you want to have personal growth, you start a business because you will go through every single fear, every single limitation. You wear so many hats. You're the CEO, you're the marketing strategist, you're the salesperson, you name it, you're doing that. Every aspect of the business you're doing. You're learning so much, and I think that is the scariest thing. So if you have not taken any big risks before you started a business, that's one of your biggest risks. Protect your assets. So I want to leave you with this quote from Sarah Blakely. She's a billionaire founder of Spanx. Don't be intimidated by what you don't know. That can be your greatest strength and ensure that you do things differently from everyone else. Let's be real. No one is coming to give us permission, right? No one is going to hand us power. We take it. Women, our financial independence is not just about personal success. It's about breaking cycles, rewriting legacies, and reclaiming the power that was never meant to be kept from us in the first place. We build wealth not just for ourselves, but for the next generation of women who will look up to us and see what's possible. So I ask you again, are you playing small with your power, or are you ready to step up and own your worth, your wealth, and your future? It is time to raise your voice, raise your prices, and raise the bar. If this episode lit a fire in you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with another woman who needs this message. Post it, post about it, tag me, and let's amplify this conversation. And remember, I see you, I celebrate you, and I'm so proud of you for breaking free and stepping into your brilliance. Now, go make history. And I want to take a moment to mention that the content shared in this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. My guests and I share personal experiences and real life examples that have helped us live our best lives, much like friends sharing stories. While we strive to provide valuable information, it's important to consult with professionals for advice tailored to your individual circumstances. Thank you for being part of our community, and thank you for spending this time with me. Remember, your story is your strength. Until next time, stay inspired and keep making a difference. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Break Free to Brilliance podcast, and I hope you had some key takeaways that you can implement right away. Be sure to subscribe to Break Free to Brilliance wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also follow along with us on social media using the links in the show notes below. We'll see you again for the next episode.